contrived. Well, I don't think she's any more contrived than anybody who's ever, been the individual picked to do the rebuttal to the State of the Union, no matter who the president was.
I'm anxious to see what you all think out there. 573-874-9390. Weigh in, everybody, because it's Feel Good Friday. That made me feel good. That speech made me feel good. It was full of optimism. There was lots of optimism. She was just one after another. This country is great. We've always met the need. We've always come through. Joe Biden said the same thing, but it didn't have the same impact with me. It just didn't have the same impact.
Do you know what video also had a lot of optimism? RFK posted a video last night in his own speech. We'll have to play a bit of it.
I missed it. I'll have to watch it.
It's pretty impactful, and it made me feel good. And just that, I think if we have someone like him in the race, I think it's not great for Joe Biden.
No, you're right.
But actually, the video that he posted last night, I could see conservatives identifying with, honestly.
I think he's going to take some from each side, but probably a little more from the Democrats, I think. Sandy says, thought you couldn't pick one from the same state.
Yeah, you're not you can't pick a VP pick from the same state. But I guess is that Kay's from Alabama, J.D. Vance, Ohio, so maybe Marco Rubio.
I don't
know. What are we talking about?
So there's
VP
Mr.
pick?
Brian Hauswirth.
Yeah, I'm thinking
and
about
Brian's. Did you watch the speech last night?
Yeah, I've watched.
You've
bits
watched
and
a bunch
pieces.
of those.
It was one of the longest ones I can ever remember.
Sure
It took him forever to get into the chamber. Normally, I don't remember that many, and I watch them every year. I've been watching those, since I was a kid. First of all, they're generally in January. A lot of times they're on a Tuesday night, and of course, it's up to the president when he wants to do it. But I don't remember that many cabinet secretaries coming in previous speeches like that. But that was something that stuck out to me. As I mentioned yesterday, and certainly was watching for it, there was definitely times when the vice president would stand up and clap and applaud, and the speaker did not. I was watching to see Mike Johnson specifically. When he would get up, it wasn't very often, but when he did and clap, that was, I think, a cue for the other Republicans, but didn't necessarily mean all of them clapped. But there were definitely points that were bipartisan, but many that were not.
Johnson's demeanor was perfect. He was not disrespectful.
Did a lot of head shaking back and forth.
A couple of times there was that, but there was also the subtle, just sitting there with the head cocked and the lips pursed and sending a clear message. It's like, the American people know you, Joe. And they know this isn't real.
Yeah, and Kamala was like getting a workout in. She was up and down and up and down and up and down.
She doesn't have to go to the gym today.
Yeah.
In fact, none of them do. What is the white? Why do so many on the Dem side? Why are the women wearing the white?
There's some speculation that it has to do with women's suffrage, and other people say it has to do with abortion. I
thought Nikki Haley just started a trend.
No, they said it. And they said they even wore that for some. I think they even wore that for some of Trump's speeches.
They did.
And there was some debate between whether it had to do with abortion or suffrage or just something. I don't know the true meaning of it.
Yeah, it's primarily suffrage. I don't believe it. No, maybe it's changed to abortion, but yeah, they definitely did. Didn't
that happen a while back?
It was when President Trump was, they were wearing white too, though.
Didn't suffrage happen a while back?
Yeah.
I mean, why are they reprocessing the past? What's that all about?
Well, you'd have to ask our progressive listeners that.
I have to ask the women in the family here.
No.
Did you think he was pandering to women last night? It just seemed like there was one after another pandering to women. There was women's research and this and. There's been women's research going on for a long time. That's scientific research. It's been. Is he pandering, or I mean, I know that it feels good if you're the group that he's speaking to, but am I wrong? I don't know. It just seems like
the New York Times says that white, purple, and gold were the official colors of the National Women's Party and the suffragist movement. So,
and that's exactly why. Yeah, and again. They did that during, when former President Trump was in office too. But I did notice that. Let's contrast it, okay? Let's contrast the speech last night to. I'm just going to pick a president in my lifetime, President Ronald Reagan. Randy, Reagan had huge Democratic majorities, not a narrow, huge Democrat majorities. He was a Republican, former Democrat, and his speeches, if you remember, while he was definitely, very very tough on Russia. A lot I remember a lot more of a bipartisan tone in that era. The times have changed, I realize, but I just think back to I think if Joe Biden were given that speech 20 years ago, it probably the tone would sound a little bit 20 to 30 years ago, the tone would sound a little bit different, but it was there's some issues they'll agree on, but many that they won't.
I was sickened by the COVID-19 discussion. He absolutely dismissed Donald Trump's administration's response to what initially, and in fact, there was a certain amount of truth to it, was the most serious health crisis that the world has faced in decades, probably a century. And for him to then gratuitously take credit for the mRNA vaccine, which Donald Trump, for all of the faults, that is technology. I'm telling you, someone listening in this audience will benefit from that technology, and not in a vaccine sense necessarily. Oh, I think that's probably up the road, a more perfected, a more refined vaccine technology platform. But he mentioned how it can be applied to chronic diseases and other things. And for him to fail to give credit to the administration that was scrambling to figure out what in the world's going on, is this going to be Andromeda strain? Is this going to be the end of? I mean, it was a big deal. It really was. And for him to dismiss that on the one hand and then take credit for it on the other, I mean, that I walked out of the room. I said, I'm surprised that the GOP didn't just walk out.
And I've had listeners say that when he speaks, I've heard it from several listeners, when President Biden speaks, they hit the mute button on their TV. I've had several listeners say that. But you're talking about Donald Trump, when they got those vaccines and were starting it, let's not forget they were developing those, they tested
Yesterday, the House Energy and Commerce Committee advanced a bill called Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act.
Wow.
And that would ban TikTok on most U.S. phones or essentially require ByteDance, who owns TikTok, to divest of the app. So not good news for TikTok, and apparently they're using the app to try to convince American citizens to lobby their congressional members to try to avoid this ban.
Do we have any early information on the Senate sentiment on that? It just has yet to go across the room, right? Across the hall.
I don't. We did get some action in the Senate yesterday, and actually it pitted two of our Missouri Republicans against one another. Yesterday, the Senate did pass the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, and immediately, I guess, Congresswoman Wagner out of St. Louis had something to say about it, and Josh Hawley did not take that lightly. He tweeted, "Shameful for Ann Wagner to turn her back on her constituents after doing nothing on this issue for years. St. Louis deserves better than this." RECA passes the Senate with a massive bipartisan vote, and Ann Wagner immediately attacks it. Whose side is she on? Not Missouri's.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Does Josh Hawley really want to go there? Because I got things to say.
But kind of.
Hannah's fired up.
I mean, that's pretty significant to see that yesterday between two of our congresspeople.
Did she not vote for it?
She's in the House, so I guess
she's in the House.
Voted,
That's right. Yeah.
Senate voted for it, and she had something to say about it, and Hawley was really not having that.
Maybe it doesn't go far enough. I don't know. Do we know the dispute? We're going to have to research that a little bit, because I'm surprised. You would think that the GOP congressional delegation here would have their act together.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for us yesterday.
Well, it's an election season for Josh, after all.
That's true. All right. Well, on the border, the House did approve legislation yesterday. I think, are they calling it the Lake and Riley Act, Hannah?
Yes.
And so that was really 37 Democrats joined in with Republicans to vote in favor of this. It would require detention of any migrant who commits burglary or theft. And some Democrats, obviously there are some Democrats in some close races, and this border issue is becoming more and more important and is a hot topic. So we got, again, 37 Democrats voted in favor of this bill yesterday. But again, that's just in the House.
Yeah, what happens next? If they seem to go to the Senate, that's where good bills go to die.
That is true at the federal level and at the state level as well. Right. And also some other news as far as 2024 goes. It's been, it seems like it's over. But what's not over is the RNC is meeting this week. Are they in Houston? I think I know some people that are there at the meeting, and they are expected to vote on their new leadership.
Because today is when McDaniel steps down, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So today, and Trump has announced these are his picks. So whether or not that's actually contentious or who gets into the leadership, again, that vote is happening today. So we'll have more on that for you.
We need to
Monday.
talk about George Santos, too, later.
That's right.
Yeah. He's going to run.
He showed up yesterday.
He
And tomorrow makes it even greater because the anticipation ahead of the Como Man Show is building. I can't wait. Can't wait to see y'all. I hope you come out and say hi. Stephanie, you're going to be there?
I will be there.
Brian Hauswirth will be hanging out.
Looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure.
Producer Hannah will be hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
John Marsh will be... You be hanging out, John?
Yes, sir.
When you hanging out?
Early shift.
And John, when we say hanging out, we don't mean hanging off of the pull-up bar again, where you got injured last year. So
I was allegedly.
Allegedly got injured. So, yeah, I didn't know when you were going to be up there, John, but I guess you and I are going to be hanging out a little earlier. I'll be there.
That's it. Maybe you and I will both go over and see the Mizzou Marines in the pull-up bar.
Absolutely. We're going to show them. Yeah, right.
Semper Fi.
So we've been talking about the State of the Union speech a little bit, but I think that that's all politics. Launched the campaign season last night. That was a stump speech, and he used public time and taxpayer money to do a campaign speech. I think there ought to be some federal election violation there, don't you think, Stephanie? I think no, won't suffice.
I mean,
he used his predecessor, quote his predecessor.
13?
Yeah, at least Baker's dozen, right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
And I thought that was too much. But there's other stuff going on in the world. Oh, the Como Man Show, 10 to 3, 10 to 3 tomorrow at the Boone County Fairgrounds. Different venue.
That's right.
More room for more fun and frivolity, more guy stuff. But as Stephanie said, you ladies out there, while your guy is, at the Graff and Son or at, what is that? Aunt Minnie's
Grandma
eats.
I mean,
Southern
Grandma eats, and I'm telling you, and also I think people are going to be really impressed if they haven't been to Walk-On's Bistro. It's got a lot of Cajun. It's real big in Baton Rouge. They're going to be there for the first time. People will really enjoy that. But there's more booths and more food they've ever had.
You can learn at ComoManShow.com. Lots of booths. And so while the guys are immersed in that, you gals can be what did you say, Stephanie? You can be out looking for all the manly men out there and just sort of taking in the sights.
Yeah,
just sightseeing.
You asked me why a woman would want to go to the man show, and I said for the same reason she would like to go to Home Depot to find the manly men.
But you don't see men showing up at the gal shows a whole lot. You don't see that a whole lot.
That's mid-Missouri. There are a lot of women who hunt and fish.
That's right. Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
But the list of vendors is amazing. It's going to be a really good show. And there are always a ton of women at the show.
There are a lot of women who are there, and I know they enjoy it quite a bit. Drake's Smokehouse Barbecue is also going to be there, and I want to correct. I said Grandma's Eats. I want to give Grandma the correct title. It's Grandma's Southern Eats. But now, people will love it.
Seidenstricker now be partners with Gold. Now, Missouri Department of Corrections is Gold, and I know that you worked in the Department of Corrections for a while. Would they entertain me in a conversation of what they feel about these criminals who are left out early and then they commit crimes? You have a story about that we need to talk about.
Yeah,
would they entertain a conversation? Or probably not.
They might. There are people that would be at the booth that would be there tomorrow, a big sponsor for the Missouri Department of Corrections, and I don't know who's coming. I've been, gone from the department since 2008, so I don't know if they're even work there when I was there. But they're probably not going to be your policy people.
That's a recruiting crew.
It really is. They may listen to you, and
I'm
certainly
kidding you.
but no, they're not going to do
it.
But
it is a thorn in it's a recurrent thorn in our side, a burr under our saddle. We talk about it a lot. The turnstile of criminality, right? Where it's just in and out and then crime again.
Well, I encourage people to take a look at our website, 939theeagle.com, KWS.com. I'm the only reporter who has looked into this guy's background that I've seen reported yet. I mean, others have mentioned a guy was arrested, but they haven't told you anything about him. And I can tell you that John and I will recognize his name. His name is Timothy Donnell. He was sentenced to 63 years in prison for a very similar area to where the Walmart is right now in Grindstone. That Walmart was not there in 1991. That was kind of a wooded area, and I don't remember exactly where the attack occurred in 1991. It was close to there, but a woman was robbed. She was beaten and sodomized, and he was convicted of 3 counts of sodomy and robbery and was sentenced to 63 years in 1991. He didn't even serve but half of that, not even half of that, and he gets out in 2022 because the Missouri's parole board paroled him, and now he is charged with trying to carjack a woman in broad daylight outside the Walmart on Grindstone. And I just encourage people to look at the story, read the court documents, and you got to be on the alert. And this woman she showed a lot of bravery for what she did, but he basically was stalking her. He saw her.
You described this, Brian. You described how it unfolded. Go through that.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I want people to read the story. That's why I put it up and put a lot of effort into it, and I hope they do, and I hope they read the court documents. But he went into the automotive department, which is on the side of the building down there at Grindstone.
On the west side.
There's a lot of people in that area. He went in there, and then he went to the front and got something out of the vending machine. This is all captured on video, by the way. And he sees a woman in there, and she apparently had surgeries, and she may have walked with a limp. I don't know how old she is. If I did, I probably wouldn't put it in the story.
But some vulnerability.
Vulnerability, and he waited until she got way further away from the. She apparently parked quite a bit away from the store, because it was so crowded that day. And he approached her in the lot. This is all on video. And according to the court document, he said, are you done with your shopping cart? And she said yes. And she pushed it to him. And then she got in her car, but had a hard time getting in because she'd had surgery. And she was getting ready to leave. And then she looks up and he's at the door and said, I think you lost your phone. And she had a bad feeling. She didn't think she lost her phone. And because he didn't want to draw attention to the other customers, he allegedly had the gun tucked right here and said, scoot over, move over. He was trying to carjack her. And then she said, no. And then he said it, he was very forceful. This is all in the story in the court document. And then he then walked away. And we reported this about a month and a half ago. They put his picture out in the media. We reported on it, but it took a while for people to identify him and confirm. He actually went down to the police station and said, yeah, I was the one in the video, because his parole officer, we now know, called the CPD and said, yeah, that was the guy, but he has just been charged. It's our listeners, and that we have a lot of listeners who will remember the 1991 attack. As I recall, Frank Conley was the judge. Many of our listeners might remember, he's since passed away, Judge Frank Conley. He sentenced the guy to 63 years in prison. This is not on the judge. This is not on the Columbia Police. They did everything. But the parole board is the one, and full disclosure, I used to work at Department of Corrections. I'm not sure what he may have said he's been reformed. I don't know. But he's going back to prison for sure, and then he's going to face this new charge.
Well, thank God that he didn't shoot her. I mean, if he had allegedly had a gun there, thank God that she came out unscathed in this, really. But it traumatized her, no doubt, right? That's going to really haunt her every time she goes to any public place.
Absolutely.
This has impact on people. We talk about the criminal justice system, but, people, maybe Columbia Public Schools needs to have you come in, go through the story, have this woman come in and talk to these young skulls full of mush and say, look, this is going on. You are going to have friends who may want you to get involved in some kind of behavior like this. This is what happens when this happens. And ma'am, how did you feel? There's something going on that leads people to believe that this is acceptable behavior. This is a cultural problem, ultimately. I still maintain that.
And Brandy, that's a policy issue. I'll defer to the audience on that. And I certainly, yes, there's a problem. But a lot of times our listeners will say it's the young people. Let's point out something here very important. This guy is 68 years old. He's 68. He's not 18. He's not 28. He is 68 years old. He has just this criminal record. Take a look at the story. I've got it all outlined on there. And here's the amazing thing. I've linked to it. Prosecutor Nick Komorowski doesn't mince words. He said for some unknown reason they paroled him. He takes a shot at the parole board. He's frustrated.
Good.
In the court document.
Good.
And makes it clear it's not the judge did it 63 years, but he gets. So this guy, we got a convicted a convicted sex offender, 3 times, 3 counts, walking around. And again, she showed a lot of courage. He's going back, and again,
but he wasn't 63 when he did that stunt.
The one in 1991, he was much younger. But I'm saying the one to clarify, he's 68 now. But yeah, so yes, but it's deeply concerning.
So I have a resolution. Whereas we come out of the chute when we're birthed, sinful human beings. Some of us are given cultural curbs through faith or family. They used to go together. And we curbed our fleshly desires to take other people's stuff, poop in our pants, diapers at first, pants later, the toilet later, because we're trained the difference between right and wrong. We're trained that you don't say foul language. We're trained that you open a door for the lady. We're trained that whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You earn your day's keep. You don't take it from other people. You don't touch other people and take their stuff without their permission. We're not teaching that to people because the family is eroded. Thank you, socialists, Democrats, for years and years and years, enabling poor behavior at the earliest levels. And until we turn that around, nothing's going to change. This is like the border crisis. Once these people are instilled early in their life that you can get away with, oh, it's just a checkout counter pack of gum. I just stuffed something at the hardware department in Walmart. I just stuffed it in my coat. These kids learn that criminality at its lowest levels is okay. Well, if that's okay, let's try something more because I'm a risk-taking teens. That's what teens do. We have to roll it back as to when we put the kibosh on kids doing things that are wrong. We all know what wrong looks like. Teachers need to call out wrong.
They're afraid.
Parents need to call out wrong. Juvenile justices need to call out wrong. And instead of enabling, oh, it's trauma. The latest thing is trauma. Oh, they're a victim of trauma. They had trauma. We've all had trauma. It's not an excuse. We've got to stop it.
Well, and I appreciate your passion on the issue. I do want to point out that we have a couple of ex-offenders that spent time in prison for murder who listen to us, and one of them is Lonnie Lockhart Bay. And I bring up Lonnie Lockhart Bay because he is out working at the youth center. I did that series on the youth center, and he's trying to tell these young people, don't do this. This is not the way. And he was in a gang.
Good for him. I'll bet he would tell you that what I'm saying is at some level true.
I think we should have
Let's
him
get
on.
him on. Let's get him
he'd
on.
be great. But
maybe I'm out of my mind. I don't think so.
But Randy, my point is that every incident like this, we got a lot of people, a lot of prisoners listen to this show, by the way, whether people know it or not. An incident like this is going to hurt the people that are coming up for parole because they're going to be afraid to parole anyone because of this. But this is a very serious issue. Thank God she wasn't physically hurt, but it's a concern nonetheless. So
for a lot of people out there, perfect opportunity at the Man Show to go exercise your Second Amendment rights with the folks from Graff and Sons.
And they'll be there as well. But yes, they'll be there, and there'll be a lot of other people there as well, and the Missouri Department of Corrections for sure.
Listener text us, why not contact the lawmakers in Jeff City and ask them how officials with the Department of Corrections are allowed on these things sometimes.
I'm mad about this
This is
one.
an interesting story. Want your best look in the morning? Avoid the processed pastry and opt for a slice of wholemeal bread. I guess they mean whole grain bread.
It is a French study, so they could have different names. But yeah, there's a study coming out of France this week that is claiming that people who eat, a lot of processed carbs in the morning are, quote, less attractive.
Or bloated all day. Right? Like, is that where we're going with this?
What's interesting, so they studied the effects of the recent Western dietary changes and what effects those may be having on facial attractiveness. They looked at 52 men, 52 women, and they said to reduce, quote, cultural heterogeneity.
I wondered if you were going to catch that.
Only heterosexual people with 4 grandparents of European origin were included in the study. Well, that's weird.
Sounds like the Nazis.
Yeah, right. Only Aryans were selected. The participants are randomly assigned different breakfasts. All meals contain 500 calories. So what's a Pop-Tart, just for instance? What, a couple hundred?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. And some were purposely assembled to be high in refined carbohydrates. Okay, a baguette with Nutella. Oh, my kids love Nutella.
Mine
You love
so
Nutella?
good.
Too.
So
I
good with
don't.
pretzels.
You gave me a package of that, but that
Almond.
wasn't Nutella, but almond paste.
Almond butter.
Almond butter, whatever it was. God, was it good.
It was
I
white
put that on an
chocolate.
apple. Oh, really good. Like a little mustard package, but bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
I travel with them.
But they took before and after photos of these people that
Yeah.
were given the 2 different types of meals.
Okay, baguette with Nutella, coffee with sugar. The other ones were wholemeal bread with butter and coffee without sugar. Okay. And?
And they took blood tests and before and after photos. And the theory that they came up with based off of the results is that an earlier spike in your blood sugar in the day is no bueno. And it says it can generate hypoglycemia, which, of course, you could probably explain much better than I can. And it can affect morphology and secondary sex characteristics.
So what happens is when you eat, when you get a real sugar pulse, you pump out insulin from your pancreas to drive the sugar into your cells.
How does that make your face ugly?
Well, they said because it changes so what happens is then after the sugar disappears from your bloodstream, then you have a dip unless you give yourself more sugar, right?
It says the process interferes with growth factors and sex hormones, which can affect morphology and secondary sex characteristics.
I have a whole routine if you're feeling a little bit puffy.
Representative standing in Boone County. How you doing this morning?
Wonderful. Living the dream every day.
You know, we only come back at the top of every hour at the same
But we were
exact
having a
time.
delightful conversation about veterans welcome home, and we had a lot to talk about.
Sorry, Hannah, my fault.
No, you're good, Cheri.
Now, I asked you.
I'll be cranky with Randy.
And she's
You're
in
good.
studio. I want you are going to have a fun resolution event announcement tonight at the Capitol, and you and David Tyson Smith, who don't agree on very much,
Right,
agree on your love of hip hop for the area, right?
But David and I work together. We're very cordial colleagues. Nick Danger is coordinating with Tanya Heath that we're doing a hip hop event at the Capitol from 3 to 4:30 this afternoon, and I'm presenting a House resolution, and we're trying to make Mid-Missouri music mecca.
Here's what Nick said on an interview recently.
I just take pride in being from the Midwest, especially Columbia, Missouri, having so many great people from Missouri. Lately, I just did the Hip Hop Unity Day. I created a day in Columbia, Missouri, just with a big...
So he's making a splash here, and you're going to make a resolution. That's great.
Yes, so we're calling this the Statewide Unity Day today. And
That's cool.
we're going to have music and speakers, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And if it's raining outside, we'll move inside to the Rotunda.
Will you and Representative Tyson Smith be doing some hip-hop type dancing?
I don't dance. You don't want to watch me dance.
Maybe. Is David, is he a dancer? I don't know. Maybe we'll get him out and do some rap kind of stuff. I don't know.
Let's let Nick Danger handle that part. He's good at it.
He's been on the show. He's just such an asset to Mid-Missouri, and has great social media.
Yeah.
If you're not following him, you really got to check him out.
You know, I asked you to come in. We have a lot to talk about. But yesterday, the text line, 573-874-9390, was blowing up when we brought up your initiative petition to really bring into more clarity how you think the senior citizen proposed or allowable property tax freeze would go on. But there's something on the ballot on the second. So there's a lot of confusion about what if it's in a trust and someone lives there who's eligible but doesn't own the trust. It's all over the map. Tell us what's going on the second and what you're trying to get done, because you're close, right, with your initiative petition?
We're close, but not there yet. So if you all out there in the listening, viewing area and are a Boone County registered voter, I still need your signature. We need to get 4,600. But let me briefly say what Senate Bill 190 that was passed last year authorized. A county commission can do this on their own. But our Boone County Commission voted to put it on the ballot. And number one, that's costing us election dollars. Number two, they're kicking the can and not making a decision they were elected to do. And it's vague. There says certain taxes. Well, what does that mean? My initiative petition, I hit the ground running last year when the law went into effect, says all taxes. If you're 62 or older and live in your own home. What the process is, say one spouse is 62 but one's not, you'd still qualify.
Okay.
And less than 10% of Boone County people over 62 would even affect. Most elderly can live in a nursing home, assisted living, or rent. This does not apply to renters.
Okay.
Well, and now there is some legislation currently working its way through the General Assembly that would amend the legislation that passed last year. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so there's a bill in the House with Rep Ben Keithley, and then there's one over in the Senate with Luke Meyer. And so I think this is going to clarify or clear up any gray areas and questions. So we think they both have a good chance, one or the other, to get through, and we're pushing hard to get it done and get it to the governor.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too many questions and the problem with the Boone County mechanism, should the bill pass on the second, as I see it, is they didn't want to make a decision. So they tell the voters to let them make a decision right? Because
exactly.
it returns the authority to them, so that then should they sunset it or should they limit the tax rebate or should they, whatever the phrase, that way they can say, well, the voters authorized to do this. It seems to me to be a little end around.
It is, and it's the Nancy Pelosi, let's pass a bill and then figure out what's in it.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. Brian Hauswirth joins us with Cheri Toalson Reisch this morning.
Representative, appreciate you joining us. Two very quick questions. One, I encourage people, 939theeagle.com and kws.com, to take a look at my story about Danny Santulli. The hazing bill was heard yesterday. Love your thought on Travis Smith's bill. And two, you and David Tyson Smith don't agree on a lot, although you vote on on bills a lot more together than people realize on the non-controversial stuff. But you'll both be together in Jefferson City today with Nick Danger, and it's about hip hop. I think that's interesting as well. If you could talk about both of those.
Yeah, so Travis Smith's hazing bill, of course, he's a MU grad, and we know what happened to the young student. And so I hope it gets to the floor and gets a debate. If the theory is if your bill isn't passed through the House by spring break, it probably isn't going to go anywhere. But sometimes bills take 2 or 3 years to get across the finish line. Number 2, looking forward to working with my colleague David Tyson Smith. Hip hop and this unity event is all about bringing communities together and find common ground and work together for the common good.
And David and you, Representative Tyson Smith and you, so listeners know, you actually do get along. You do.
Yes, we do.
You don't agree on some of the hot button issues, but you certainly get along.
Absolutely.
And he's respectful to you and vice versa.
Absolutely.
We have a report here, I-70 eastbound from Columbia to Kingdom City. The fog is thick as soup, barely 100 feet visibility. Hope the rising sun will get it burned off fairly quickly. Speaking of sunshine, that's what we think of when we think of Cheri Toalson Reisch. And Andy Bowman says, I love, capital L-O-V, her. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
You did get a bill out, huh? Your first bill comes out?
First bill passed out of the House yesterday. It was a signage bill. We combined it from about 5 or 6 different representatives' individual bills onto my bill. But what mine does is make MoDOT put population numbers on city limit signs. This has been a passion of mine. When I found out after the 2020 census they weren't going to do it, basically because of the Biden administration says it's distracting, but yet the buckle up, phone down signs flashing were not distracting. So then MoDOT exempted themselves. So they get to keep the flashy lights up because I guess those aren't distracting. But anyway, I work well with MoDOT. I went on a ride along with them last night in the dark rain. We're looking at sign issues. And so it's just a passion of mine to report street lights and problems along our state highways. So I'm very excited.
That's good.
This is probably my final bill of my career.
Well, that's exciting that should probably not have a lot of obstruction getting passed.
It's out of the House, but we do have a senator we're working with, Sandy Crawford. She's got a signed bill. So we're going to combine the two and hopefully get it through the Senate.
And we were talking that you're going to take care of some population signage in your area, in this area.
Just to drive my point home, I volunteered and I got permission from MoDOT. I am going to be putting the decal stickers on all the city limit signs in Boone County out of my own pocket.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Now, something that you are known for is really taking to heart and being passionate about delivering on Ronald Reagan's joke of "I'm from the government, I'm here to help," because those used to be words of anathema. It's like, oh no, but you make it happen. And one of those things that you're very involved in, I reminded my wife last night and others that were listening. We were in a little gaggle. I said, she actually sat down with me and said, do this, point here, and do that. We did it one night after the afternoon show.
I'm a little bossy, Randy.
I
raised
liked it.
all sons.
Well, because I was intimidated. I tried to do it a few years ago before Vivek was in, and it was a hard process. He made it a lot easier, and you've then facilitated it. Okay.
I've returned millions of dollars to thousands of people. I'm the official ambassador for unclaimed property.
But I have to ask you a question about a tough question here. Vivek caught a little heat in congressional hearings about putting advertisements for the unclaimed property on the VLTs. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think he really was responsible for that? Is it a big deal? Where do you land on that?
Yeah, number one, those video terminal machines, you see them in all the gas stations, are illegal.
Yep.
They're not licensed or regulated, and I don't know why the state isn't enforcing that or passing a law to either make them legal, but they are illegal, and I'm sure he didn't do that directly. It was, I'm sure, a staff member. I don't think it's appropriate, though. When you're gambling and it's saying get your unclaimed property money, it's kind of an oxymoron. but he's, I'm not bashing him personally.
Yeah. Okay. No, we got to ask the question, right? Because, I mean, he's done so much good work. Sounds like, maybe he had a little, maybe he could have shown some better judgment. Whatever. He's a good man. And I love when he speaks at Lincoln Days. John Marsh.
Representative, you guys on your side did some good work advancing the open enrollment school choice bill. Boy, spring break right around the corner. Can you get this one across the finish line?
So we did pass it out of the House. It was Rep Brad Pollitt, a former school superintendent. And, it's kind of misleading when it says school choice because it's a very baby step transfer bill, and it's all left up to local school board control. If they want to accept 0 students, or they can accept a set number, but only up to 3% of kids can transfer out of a district. It's such a baby step. We need drastic reform on school choice.
Agree. Well, you at the last Lincoln Days, I was at Boone County Lincoln Days, you teased an announcement. And so I think we're still a couple weeks out of that announcement. But do you want to say any more about that announcement this morning?
Not yet. I'm still working hard in Jeff City. So over spring break, I'll let you all be the first to know.
Would you?
I will send you my press release.
Would you
ahead of everybody else?
What if you announced it the day you release your press release?
Oh, okay.
Here, would you do that?
Yeah, I will. I will.
You tell me, and I will make sure and clear off. I don't care if the president, well, especially if the president wants to be on.
Actually,
we'll clear him off for you.
Actually, Cherie, you might just want to let me know.
Yeah,
so I'll
Hannah.
put it on the calendar.
I will.
Yeah.
Randy sometimes has calendar management issues. Just
You're
once
more
in a
than
while.
welcome to
Hannah's
jump the gun
awesome.
and announce it today, though.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
So,
No.
John, if you want to come over to the Capitol about 3 this afternoon and join us in hip hop.
We can do it.
I can see John and Cherie and David Tyson
First name
Smith all
basis
sort
with
of-
Nellie.
Get loosened up for all those pull-ups tomorrow.
I mean, you
John.
know,
There you go.
they got Usher's got nothing on them. Nothing.
Thanks for taking one for the team, John. Appreciate it.
Anything else you'd like to get out this morning? We appreciate you coming
A
in.
quick shout out to Megan Sievers, who runs Welcome Home here in
Yes.
Columbia for our veterans. She is going to be awarded a Distinguished Woman Award on Tuesday in the Capitol, and I was honored. I'm going to be able to present her with a House resolution.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hey, well, thank you for all you do. I mean, you are really the.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help, but when I say it, I mean it.
You are the prototype example of what I learned in civics class. Everything I learned in kindergarten is what I needed to know, and that was that the public servants work for us, and that's what you do.
I do.
That's your guiding light.
I
We
work
thank
for
you for
you.
that, Cheri Toalson.
Thank
Reisch.
you, Randy. Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, and we'll be watching for that event today at the Capitol. Thanks so much. All right. progress.
Now, we got a text earlier this week, and the name of this texter is eluding me, so I apologize. But there was a request to bring back the Weird Animal series. The Wake Up family member that texted us said that we needed to start keeping our fingers crossed for weird zoo animal stories because I had so many of them for so long, and then they kind of tapered off.
Are they a Taylor Swift
Escaping
hater?
zoo animals, right?
Yes. Are they Taylor Swift fans?
I just think maybe they're tired of Taylor Swift, and so they want zoo animals.
Give
rather
us something
than
different, something new.
Well, this is an update on one of the weird animals I've covered recently. My TikTok feed is full of this little booger, and it's Charlotte the Stingray. Now, if you remember, I covered this a few weeks ago. She lives in captivity in North Carolina at Echo Aquarium, and she has not had a male species or a male stingray in the enclosure for like 7 years. All of a sudden, Charlotte's knocked up.
Yeah, we heard that.
Now she's
Pulled the Jurassic Park routine, right?
There's a fancy word for it, right?
well,
What's it
so
called?
there's
Parthenogenesis.
two running theories. One is that parthenogenesis occurred, which is basically when an endangered species is able to reproduce themselves, right? So she could have gotten herself pregnant, or because it's the internet. The other running theory is that one of the small breeds of sharks that are in this tank with her could have procreated some shark stingray
I don't know.
babies.
That hybridization is hard to imagine. I don't know.
It's fun though, right?
It's fun to think about.
But people on the internet are getting ticked off because Charlotte is still pregnant. And the aquarium estimated that she was going to deliver around the 21st of February. So
That's a long time.
Yeah, homegirl is real pregnant at this point. Folks on the internet are accusing the aquarium of either withholding information to drag out their popularity, their 15 seconds of fame,
Sure.
or that maybe Charlotte was never even pregnant in the first place and it was all, just a big marketing scheme. I don't know. I
They
hope
might refer to the Book of Luke or something even.
There you go.
But yeah, and folks are also mad at Charlotte herself for not having given birth yet, which I think is the funniest one. But we'll wait and see, I guess, see if any babies actually appear.
And I assume they've ultrasounded Charlotte to make sure that, God forbid, she doesn't have some tumor that's being mistaken as a pregnancy.
Yeah, I believe they have. The exact article I'm looking at from paradepets.com.
Well, I mean, that's one of the most reliable sources in town.
Oh, yeah. But the aquarium is saying because they don't know exactly when she got pregnant, it's hard to tell, when she might deliver. But they sure were confident back in February. So, yeah, internet users who have been following this story closely are ticked.
This reminds me of remember that giraffe thing where they had like the live feed and everyone was waiting for the baby giraffe a couple years ago?
That's pretty much what it is, yes.
You're going to have to wonder, though, if the angel Gabriel shows up at
red tie. Anyone who looks at the YouTube or the Facebook feed, you tell me this is not a red tie. This is a red tie.
I don't know.
What do you
Look at the comparison between your name tag on the feed on the monitor.
Yeah. Well,
See,
that's orange.
That is red.
And I would say, John, come on, do I get credit for red?
Sure you do. You're
Of course.
channeling Donald Trump this morning.
There you go. And now you could say that Stephanie's
What,
is
an
sort
exaggerating the truth?
Maybe I could say Stephanie's is a rust color, not a little red rust.
I'm full out America, though. Did you see the back of this?
So the white stars make up for the full red that you're wearing.
Cute.
I like that, the stars in the back. Well,
and I have a red T-shirt on under my sweatshirt.
oh, I see. Okay, right. So you're going to take credit for that one, right?
Yeah, it's chilly.
Well, but no one can see it. So for all, if a red T-shirt
There you
falls
go.
in the forest and no one sees it, is it still red?
I
Boy,
was
that was
just-
a mixed metaphor, wasn't it, John?
I think so.
I was just prepared if anyone gave me grief about it. Just pull down my sweatshirt. Ha
Well, you're giving me grief about the tie. Grief cuts
Oh, yeah.
both ways.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of ties, you know how you joke about my ties?
Yes.
Look here. Do you want to, from the pages of the Wall Street Journal, off-duty section from last weekend?
Ooh, it's got the cute guy from the cooking show. the
Great
bear.
style, no sweat. Great style, no sweat. From Miles Davis to Brad Pitt. Who's Jeremy Allen White? I don't know him. Tyler, the Creator.
That's the bear guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the bear?
Oh, Randy.
It's the name of a TV show.
I don't.
It's Lip Gallagher from Shameless.
You just spoofed me on all that.
Okay.
I have no clue.
It's fine.
James Dean. So it's covering many genres. Oh, Keanu Reeves. We just watched, this weekend, we watched all three John Wick. And we're waiting for the fourth one to come out. Have you seen the John Wick series?
No.
It's a lot of gratuitous, shooting. But I don't know. He always wins. John always wins. I like that. Now,
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I noticed none of them. Oh, one is.
oh,
wearing
no.
it.
Oh, yeah. Now, yeah. Okay. Would you like to? I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's just say a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves has a tie. Austin Butler. I don't know Austin Butler.
This is really helping prove your point.
Oh, I guess he doesn't have a tie. Sorry. And Jean-Michel Basquiat. Who's that? Basquiat. Who's that? Artfully rumpled with his collar askew and a tie. So 2 out of 12. That's not bad. I mean, come on. The tie was fairly represented. And young guys, hip guys. So does that earn me the right to wear a tie now and then? Can I do that?
You can wear a tie.
Thank you.
I mean, I think the more important thing for male clothing these days is good tailoring, is like fit. But I think you could have not a tie and a really nicely tailored outfit, and it would be more impactful than a sloppy, like a Donald Trump suit, like a sloppy,
Like
suit
the
with a
baggy
tie.
pants. Now, on the
Yeah.
other hand, I have had women in my life comment, not you, because I haven't heard your comments, that some of the modern tailoring for men looks like it shrunk in the wash. It's
Yeah.
too tight.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, like high water slacks.
Yeah.
And you get the popsicle stick where your jacket's too big and then your two little legs stick out because your pants are too small.
There's timeless rules about the coat. The
And the
coat, you should
short-
be able to basically, it's somewhere around your knuckles, you should be able to fold your knuckles underneath the bottom of the coat. Not too long, not too short, just Goldilocks right.
Yeah, there are rules.
John always wears impeccably dressed. He's always
You'll notice sometimes some of the younger TV anchors who've been around a while, it's like, yeah, you might want to upgrade a size or two on your sport coat there, buddy, because they're kind of little tight when they button them on the
You're right.
As
on the
long
one
as it's,
shot.
As long as it's not plaid, Randy's
No,
doing good.
there was some subtle plaids. The other night, a couple of the politicians had very subtle plaids on. I think
And
your
Mark
partner,
Ellinger.
Mark, wears a nice plaid. But some of these plaids are, oh, my God, they look like Barnum and Bailey. I'm sorry. Mark has nice, subtle plaids. I'm not against plaid. But there's,
Yeah, I did once see. I was in Las Vegas, and I was on a call, and I turn around and I see a really loud plaid, and it kind of caught my eye, and then I look, I catch the guy next to him, and I'm like, he's also wearing loud plaid, and then I'm like, why are they wearing matching loud plaid? And I look up, and it's Penn and Teller.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like,
Oh, there you
that
go.
makes
Okay.
more
Okay.
sense.
Well, you just
Like
made
they
my
had
point.
an early tea time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of it, there's another style issue that's coming into menswear. Maybe you guys out there would like to weigh in on this, or gals. I'm interested because in general things have gone to more informal, and that's what the Wall Street Journal article was about. Is like, what is proper informal and what looks like you're contrived informal? Like, hey, I'm trying to look really informal, and it just doesn't make sense, you know?
I know a lot of people, like when they dress up, they feel like they're in costume, but I had to go to, I'm now a competitive soccer mom.
Uh-oh.
I got a new title last weekend, and when I have to go, like, I feel like I'm putting on a costume when I have to try to, like, put on my, what is a competitive soccer mom wear to the soccer fields? Like, what is this outfit? You know, and so
When you guys got a van this year too, right?
We've all had a van for a while, but yes, I've got like a wagon. I did get some very helpful tips from our mid-mo friends. I said, what do I need to bring with me on these like all-day soccer
wagon.
adventures?
Everything.
Yes, I got very good tips. So I'm keeping a running list if you have
What would that
suggestions.
include? What are some of the
Well,
what are
from
some
the
of the essentials?
There you go. From the old soccer player like me, you got to have your footy boots and your shin guards, and then you're pretty much ready to go.
All of the snacks, like sweet snacks, salty snacks, lots of food, especially if you're bringing additional children. You have to
Gatorade.
dress. You have to dress, and this is a good tip. You have to dress for like summer and winter because it's either like 100 degrees or 60 degrees, and there's always wind, and so you just need to have like be packed for all seasons.
Okay.
Lots of liquid. A battery charger for electronics.
Ooh.
Entertainment for when
Like a battery pack
yeah,
that
like
you
a
can
battery
charge.
pack.
Okay.
Entertainment
For the little toddlers,
well,
if you have
and-
those along.
and sometimes
Between
you have a
matches, yeah.
long break.
Oh.
And yeah, there was just I'm literally keeping a full list. It's very good.
You're probably going to want some type of blanket
Yeah,
to sit on the grass in.
and one of the moms sent me like kind of like a big outdoor snuggie thing with a hood, you know, kind of like a blanket that you wear, which I think is a really good thing. And then I got lots of recommendations for the best types of chairs, like one of the rocking foldable chairs. So
Have you seen the little clear pop-up tents that fit one person?
that's somebody posted a link to that on it's supposed to help you protect from weather, and my point was I was like I would have taken off like a kite if I would have had that. It was so windy in St. Louis on Sunday, everything was blowing. That thing would have been long gone.
As it gets warmer, you're also going to want some type of
Sun-
battery-powered fan
Oh, that's a good point.
or something like that.
with the spray thing.
And
Yeah,
then
the spray
sunscreen.
fan.
Like Saturday, it was cold. We were wearing a coat, and we all ended up with a sunburn. We did put on sunscreen, but we forgot to reapply. So there are tips and tricks, and I'm learning.
I guess you'll have a cap on, so you don't have to worry about hair management, like with spray and brush and all that stuff.
I wore a hat,
Yeah, you wear a
mainly
hat.
because of skincare, but I
Do
don't
you bring
really.
skincare products?
No, I don't
You
go
gotta protect
outside.
your face.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of money on my face.
Yeah, but
And
can I give
so
you a little
I-
unsolicited advice?
Okay.
You're going to anyway.
Save some money on that black stuff that you put on your lips yesterday.
I think people thought I entered my goth era or something, and that I wore that around
You
all
look
day.
like something out of Kiss. I mean, the group.
Or if you're in my generation, I think Sam Turner commented Blink 182. But yes, it was very goth, but it was a peel off, friends. So it was like you put it on, it was supposed to stain your lips, and then you peeled it off. I would, if you're being influenced to try to buy that stuff, I think it's trash. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Save
and
your
if you're
money.
wondering what the heck we're talking about, it's posted on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri Facebook page from yesterday. And I actually had a couple of our male coworkers yesterday ask me to try to explain what was happening. And even after explaining, I don't think this one person got it.
Well,
Yeah.
Brian Hansen pointed out, I thought it was good. He thought she was trying to do her best early Billie Eilish impression.
There we go. Yeah, I have it. If anybody wants to try it out today, you're welcome to use it. It's not very cute.
I got to tell you, I had the funniest thing on the family tweet yesterday. So, I've got the daughter.
There's no such thing as a family tweet. I think you family text.
The family text, I mean. Family text.
Just-
So we had the family text, yeah. Not the family
A
tweet.
group chat, if you will.
What's it called?
A group chat.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. So the group, just a bunch of us on this thing. So our little granddaughter, 3-year-old Remy, just turned 3 this weekend. And so our son went up to visit his sister and their daughters and his nieces. So we have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old out there in North Carolina because he's in military training out there. We get this text from our daughter last night. Tonight, Remy, this is the 3-year-old, had 3 Taco Supremes, one cheese gordita crunch, and a cheese roll-up.
Go girl.
We've been struggling. Evie, her sister, says, quote, you better learn how to open your door tonight because the poop's going to fly out of you.
Man. Man.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of Taco Bell for a 3-year-old.
That is a lot of Taco Bell.
She was hungry.
And she's the daintiest little thing. I've not eaten 3 Taco Supremes, a gordita, and what else? A cheese roll-up?
I think that should also go on the list of travel soccer. Don't feed your kids Taco Bell before you have to spend a couple hours in the car with them.
My question is, what's her grandma do for a living?
Yeah, that's right. Now, I have to tell you, she had, on her birthday weekend, she had a 24-hour stomach flu real bad.
Aw.
So you know how once you recover from the flu and you test it out with a little Kool-Aid, oh, that's working.
You're
Some
ravenous.
crackers, that's working. Then it's watch out. Taco Supreme, gordita crunch, and a cheese roll-up. Better watch out. Don't open your door. The poop's going to fly out of you. That is hilarious.
Words to live by.
John,
Valuable life advice.
what's coming up on your segment?
The eternal pole dancer.
Oh,
gosh.
no.
Oh, no. It's a family show, folks. I
Speaking
think it's
about
okay.
things flying out.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Man.
taxidermy after they pass on.
Nope.
After her dwarf hamster Hammy passed away, good name, Hammy, passed away last year, Jess Porter Langston, who lives in Brighton in the UK, decided to go to the taxidermist hoping to immortalize her beloved pet as a pole dancing stripper. She said the hamster was so iconic and all my friends knew Hammy and wanted to see him, so he needed something special. Taxidermist Jim posed Hammy on a little platform with a pole, even sewed a little thong for him to wear, which was stuffed with tiny dollar bills. And she said he's got this creepy little smile going on. I was blown away. What is more iconic than a hamster on a stripper pole hustling for money? Which prompts the question, why did the stripper show up at the Board of Elections? She heard they were looking for poll workers, of course. You know the rest of that story.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Have you seen the movie Dinner for Schmucks? Steve Carell's character is big into like doing taxidermied mice, and he puts them in weird like scenarios and scenes like that.
Didn't know that.
It is exactly what it reminds me of.
I don't know why, but I find taxidermy so hilarious. I know it's expensive, but I think anything. There was like a really funny TikTok with this guy who like taxidermied a raccoon into like a karate pose, and that was hilarious. And I once was at a white elephant gift and party, and somebody had a trash bag, and somebody, and it was like, what is this? What is this? And finally, somebody opens it. And it is a taxidermied Canada goose, like in full. Wow. And it was actually inside my house. And I was like, take that out into the front yard. Like, I do not want, like, whatever is on that bird in my house.
The best one in Dinner for Schmucks is where he does the whole Last Supper with the mice.
Yes.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. Sounds like a movie I need to check out.
It's a good one.
If you like Steve Carell movies, it's a good one.
He's funny. So I think that the whole taxidermy thing, there are some women who will just absolutely not, no matter how rabid her husband is a hunter or a fisherman, no matter how large, now how many points on the rack, no matter how large the bass, there will not be any animals hanging on the wall. Are you one of those, Stephanie?
No, I think it can be cute. I mean,
oh, you're okay with it? Okay.
Yeah, if I had like a nice lodge that was like in theme, I could do that. I mean, in my like regular house. Yeah. No, but I could have a second home that was
sort of like a mini Bass Pro kind of a place.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could be down for that.
Yeah. I know when I look at the couple of bow kills I have that are bucks.
Is that a humble brag?
Do you have them hung up?
Yeah, I've them hung at the farm. And I just sometimes like to sit there and reminisce about the hunt because I remember every moment of it. I remember every moment of it. And I'm sure that the guys out there and the gals, a lot of gals hunting, are the same way. Do you hang dead animals in your house, John?
I have the racks in the garage. I'm not a big taxidermied guy, but I have several of the bigger racks saved back.
Yeah, they have racks out in Philadelphia at the William Way Center.
Racks on racks on racks.
Where they do the fetishes for.
Okay.
Are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a different kind of a rack.
A little different.
Going back to the medieval age.
Bucks and does.
Yeah, ask Mel Gibson. Men in skirts. Hey, so we have to give the Centralia ladies a shout out, right? They're playing today. Important game.
Yeah, they are. They're playing in the Final Four game. So
wow, that's so good.
They'll play today at 4:00, and that determines when they play again. I believe tomorrow. If they lose today, they'll be playing for third place, and if they win today, they'll be playing for the championship.
Man alive! But El Dorado's ranked high, third.
Yeah, number 3 in the state.
Wow.
Something that's been cool is a lot of the local businesses I've been seeing on Facebook in Centralia, they're closing so that they can go to the game. I thought that was cool.
No, that's
I know this weekend, Helias Lady Crusaders are in the quarterfinals tonight, and Jefferson City Jays, the boys, are in quarterfinals down in Springfield tomorrow.
Yeah, and the Tipton girls walked away with third place this week, so that's big too.
And I'm reminded that, speaking of the girls, it's International Women's Day. Is that right, Stephanie? Did you say that?
It is.
Can you tell me that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to celebrate women everywhere.
I think Hannah and I have come up with some Winners of the Week nominations that involve the ladies.
Yeah.
Okay.
kind of on accident.
And we are doing that at 8:35. So if anyone
That's
wants
right.
to join in
Don't
and
wanna miss it.
celebrate women with us at 8:35.
You only have 3 days. Today, Saturday. Joining us now is Lisa Meyer, candidate for the 2nd Ward in Columbia. Welcome to Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
And Stephanie and Hannah, I know all of us were impressed with your speech. I just wanted to give you a kudos for your very impressive and powerful speech at the Boone County Lincoln Days. For those of you who didn't catch it, boy, I'm sure you'll have other opportunities to catch Lisa on the stump, or maybe at the doorstep, on the porch, right? You're going to be door to door?
Yeah. Give me a call. Let's have coffee. Yes.
We're going to talk about the themes of your campaign, why you're running, and everything. But let's start out. First of all, tell us about yourself. Where do you hail from? And what do you do other than run for Ward 2 alderwoman?
Sure. Well, let me know if you want to know anything else. I'll just give you a little synopsis. All right. So I grew for the most part of my life on the Illinois side.
Okay.
So I'm not an original.
The People's Republic of Illinois?
Well, that I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So I grew up on a farm for 12 years. And then this is all in the what's considered the St. Louis Metro East area.
Okay. What name the town? Because I'm originally from St. Louis.
Tiny town called Summerfield, Illinois. Most people haven't heard of it.
Yeah, no,
right.
I haven't.
Okay, so the closest next town would be Lebanon, Illinois.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Then the St. Louis Metro East area, my parents moved when I was 12, and then we moved to the St. Louis Metro East area. And then that's where I finished high school. And then I stayed there for a while. Right out of high school, I became a medical assistant. Right.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I worked at, it was a great opportunity for me.
Well, if it doesn't work out for you, let's talk.
No.
No,
no, it was really a fantastic opportunity. And so right out of, I just can't tell you how great that was for me. So I became a medical assistant right out of high school. And I worked 10 years in healthcare.
Office? Hospital?
In an office.
Office, okay.
Yes, orthopedics.
Orthopedics.
And I learned so much. I could go on and on about that.
Sure.
But that also allowed me, so I worked full time and I went to school at night. I finished my associate's degree. And then after 10 years of working in healthcare, then I worked in the arts. And then that's where I finished my bachelor's degree. I'm the first person in my family to have a college degree.
In what?
In a Bachelor of Business Administration.
Business Administration. Okay, good. Well, that would poise you well for leadership in a political realm, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And then I also worked as a financial advisor for a while. I was the Series 7 and Series 66 license holder for a while, learned a lot in that field. And then I ended up in real estate, and that's what I am doing now.
Okay.
My father, a little bit about him because it's touching to me, is that my father was first-generation American, and he always told me to say, instead of saying that I'm an Italian American, which is not, I don't correct people, but I always say an American Italian.
Okay.
So that's a
and
little
I'll
bit
bet that your father came in, as Donald Trump likes to say, legally. Legally.
Well, yeah. So actually, it's interesting. So his mother actually never became a citizen, but my grandfather did, and then my father is first generation.
Okay.
So yes.
So that's. So he did immigration the right way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, his
father
did.
And
yes.
brought in the old world work ethic with going to school and working, and that translated to you.
My father served in the Marine Corps. He was in the Korean War. Just a real dedicated. And speaking of going back to, you mentioned it's Women's Day.
Yeah.
We have got to get a shout out to all the women who serve in the armed forces.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. My husband is a retired colonel, and some of his best leaders were women.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're out there, Colonel Hosmer, you rock. If you're out there, Colonel Sullivan, you rock.
Okay.
Awesome. I
don't-
love
There
that.
you go.
And don't forget, David Tyson Smith actually passed a bipartisan bill that Governor Parsons signed last year honoring female veterans, and it was on behalf of his grandmother, who was a World War II veteran. But it's for the entire state, which really ties into what you're saying.
Yes. Awesome.
Something to feel good about this Feel Good Friday. Well, I think what people really took away from your comments at Lincoln Days, and I think what was, I think, took a little bit of courage was you looked out into that room and you said, you know, if you're not showing up for your local election day, you are the problem. And you had some statistics, and I think a lot of people took note, and it was really fiery. You started off the night, and I thought it was a great message. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, people who don't show up to vote, it really bothers me. My father took me to the post office when I was 18 years old and made it essential. Voting is your responsibility. And that really planted a seed in my life. And then when I started to prepare for running, and I'm looking at the numbers of people who are actually registered voters in the ward, and then the people who show up to vote, wow. We have a lot of improvements, not just our ward, but a shout out. I don't care where you are in Columbia, which ward. If you're not showing up for April elections, you're not participating, you are a part of the problem. And it's just very discouraging when you're looking around 2,000 people are making these decisions when we could.
But what is it about the circumstances, about the environment, about the city, about where you work and live?
Well,
that makes you want to run. Why not just stay in real estate?
That's a good question. I am at service is important to me, and I'm concerned about our ward. I've been promoting our ward for a long time. This might surprise some folks.
Where is your ward? For those who don't know, where's Ward 2?
Okay, we have a north side of Ward 2, and we have a south side of Ward 2. All right, I live on the north side, and I'm happy to live on the north side. I promote the north side, and the south side is absolutely lovely too. So we have Albert. So you've got like Albert Oakland Park, right? Are you familiar with that? Take Bear Creek Trail. Then you've got Bear Creek Trail, Cosmo Park, L.A. Nichols. Okay, then go across Stadium. All right, there's a large subdivision area right there. Then go across to take a jump across the highway, Sylvie Lane, Bellwood, Park DeVille, that area, up into Columbia Mall. That's Ward 2.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, I appreciate
Lisa Meyer's joining us on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, candidate for Ward 2 alderwoman. She would be if she was elected in Columbia.
Absolutely, Randy. And Lisa, I was there that night when you gave that speech, and I will tell you that Attorney General Andrew Bailey, the state treasurer, Vivek Malik, was there. Eigel was there, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, Bob Onder. I mean, the biggest name, Jay Ashcroft, the biggest names in Republican politics were in that room at Midway Golf and Games. I was there. Stephanie was there. No one had a louder ovation than you when you looked out in that crowd and you said, you are the problem if you don't vote. I've never heard, thunderous applause in that room. No offense to the other speakers, but they did not get that applause. I want to point that out because I was there to see it. Luna is the laborers union in, I believe it's 592 or 562. They have endorsed your opponent. As you know, the labor unions in this town, they have a lot of power. They get out and they knock on doors and their members vote. They do, and they show up at the council meetings as well. The union, which you know, you're shaking your head. Can you beat your opponent with him getting that labor union endorsement? That's a big deal. They're going to knock on doors. They're already knocking on doors for him. They're also giving him, I believe, $3,000.
Well, we are out visiting with people too. I can tell you our conversations are fantastic, warm, encouraging. And so we're out knocking on doors. I've got teams of volunteers that are out as well. It's incredibly moving and inspiring to have that. Another piece of this that I might surprise everyone, especially with, if you will, like a more conservative station. I'm not huge anti-union.
You never have been.
My uncle Sam, he was in the Chemical Workers Union in Granite City. And then my other uncle, he was a Teamster and drove a truck. So, and I asked them for some. My uncle Sam is deceased, but I asked my Aunt Carol, and then I reached out to my other uncle, asking for some advice based on their experience and such. And so I don't have I'm not anti, right? in addition to that, I just am more prepared to be of service for 3 years than my opponent. He's a nice enough guy. When we were running, I invited him to coffee. I think, some of this vitriol and ickiness that we see on the national stage, it's just not, we don't need this locally. We need to work together and solve problems for our city.
And I would also point he's been respectful to you as well.
Yeah,
he has.
So,
we only have a couple minutes left. What is your big number 1 and 2 policy issues? What do you want to fix if you get elected?
I want us to get a safety.
Okay.
Number 1, and I want us to get a full staffed professional police department. And I want to make this real clear. I don't want just more men and women in uniform. I want us to be able to attract the best of the best. I want people of great character. And we have got to make hiring and retainment a high priority. And I want to see this accomplished within 3 to 5 years. We've got to make this.
Is that to suggest we don't have people of high character, or we don't have enough people of high character?
We don't have enough people.
I want to make it clear.
Yes,
because there are people, very vocal people in this town that say, "Oh, we've got people, but they're just not of high character." Right?
This is
Okay, and they're very vocal at the council meetings.
But I'll tell you, there is a more concerned group of people who don't show up at the meetings.
Yeah, I know that.
Yes.
And they're to go back to your theme, they don't make their voices heard, right? The people who want to support the police,
right,
who recognize the importance of policing in the neighborhoods, who get it. And but you don't hear their voice very much at the council meetings.
Because and Lisa is talking about you, not you, Randy, but you. I'm talking to the listeners. She's referring to you at home. You are not showing up at the council meetings. You are not testifying. But I will tell you who does show up to testify: the activists. They show up, and the unions show up as well. They do show up, and they I think it's going to be a fascinating.
We're running
race.
out of time. Texter says she needs to campaign at apartment complex.
It's a big news out, but let's talk about the markets yesterday. It was a better day yesterday. NASDAQ closed up just over 1.5%, Dow up over just 1%, S&P up 0.34%. Leading those gainers yesterday was the technology, communication services, and materials sectors. Futures this morning also looking positive, but all kind of sticking between about 0 and 0.25%. So not much change there. We are getting the jobs report out. This morning, U.S. employers added 275,000 jobs in February. That's actually higher than what was estimated. They had estimated 200,000. But the bad news is, I guess, unemployment rate ticked up to 3.9% from 3.7%. But there's something fishy going on. And we just got this report, and so I haven't fully been able to suss this out, but they actually, so in January, if you recall, we had a huge jobs report.
Big time.
353,000 was what was reported. Today, we're learning they've now revised that number down to 229. And so you're wondering, no one's going to talk about the revision down to 200. They're just going to remember the January jobs report was really good. Well, it actually wasn't that good.
And the December gain was revised from 333 to 290, a 40,000 difference.
Yeah, I mean, huge revisions downward for both December and January. I mean, could it be that, we need these big announcements because there's an election coming up and no one's going to remember the revisions? I don't know. But certainly it
doesn't make sense. How can
fishy.
Okay, so
how can you report that many jobs and then be like, oops, just kidding?
Maybe that's why, because the labor participation rate was steady. Mm-hmm. But the sticker number goes up, the unemployment rate, probably because of the revisions downward. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have to talk to Aaron Hedlund about this because I don't understand how you can. I mean, maybe for last month, but now we're revising all the way back into December. I don't know.
Well, you can't trust the FDA. You can't trust the CDC. You can't trust the FBI. Can't trust the CIA. Now you can't trust the Labor Department. I mean, Who can you trust?
Yourself.
Wake up mid-Missouri.
It's yourself.
I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
All right. The other thing that's coming out of the Wall Street Journal, since it's Feel Good Friday, we're going to talk about coffee. And, we are all feeling the squeeze for inflation. So if you are trying to cut down on your frou-frou coffees a little bit, the Wall Street Journal is doing some coffee-busting myths and saying you can have a nice pour-over brew at home. You just kind of got to know what to do. And there are actually they kind of recommend some products that are pretty inexpensive if you prefer a pour-over brew. They said another myth, your coffee machine cleans itself with the hot water. No, you need
that's just
clean.
That's an incubator for bacteria.
Yeah,
it's
so
lovely.
If your coffee's tasting a little funky at home, you might just need a good clean. There's some products for cleaning. They also said, most people think, I just use tap water because the coffee just, fixes it. No, if it's not the same water that you prefer to drink, whatever water you're drinking at home, that's what you should use. So if your tap's good, that's fine. But if you drink nicer water, then maybe you want to use that nicer water for your coffee. They also said you don't actually have to store your coffee in the freezer. It's just really important that it's whatever you're storing your coffee in is airtight.
In fact, when you store it in the freezer, it dries out. So you
does.
shouldn't do that. You just want it in airtight. Yeah.
And then they said it is possible to make good espresso at home, but I'm going to call kind of Bravo Sierra on the Wall Street Journal because they then link to a $1,500 espresso maker. So yeah, for
$1,500.
But that would make some good espresso.
You could also probably make commercial level espresso for $1,500.
Yeah, it ought to pour it in a gold espresso cup too.
But if
What's going on, Hannah? Do we have that sound? We don't have the sound. Okay, good. I heard something there.
I think we're going to nominate Jason Kelsey.
I think we were going to do that. And the problem is, sometimes the computer doesn't play the sound I intended it to play, because we were going to play some Jason Kelsey sound. But you're up first, Steph.
I've got some nominations. This one's coming in from Travis. Travis says, shout out to all the Missouri youth wrestlers who will be wrestling at the state championships this weekend down in Springfield. I know we had a lot of mid-mo kids qualify, and just qualifying for the state wrestling championships, a huge deal. So winners of the week there. I also have a winner of the week. A Missouri S&T student, Design Satellite, has launched on a SpaceX rocket, and some of our curators were pointing that out. And so how cool is that, right? That the and the kids at S&T were all they're on video, and they were all watching the launch. So
that's neat.
Yeah, Missouri S&T does some really great things, and I don't think they get nearly enough credit. So shout out to them.
It's always great. When kids are excited about space, or for a while dinosaurs were hot. I love it when kids get excited about science stuff. That's just really cool. It really coalesces them.
And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's neat. How about losers?
I don't know that I have any losers.
Don't have any losers?
I guess I'm in a good mood this week or something.
Well, that's fine.
I mean, maybe my loser should be anybody who says that they tell somebody else that they look tired.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was just called a loser by my co-host Stephanie Bell.
It was bound to happen.
I'm
eventually.
hurt. I don't know if I can go on. I just don't know. Okay, Hannah, your turn. While I try to recover and regroup here.
No kidding.
I finally got the internet to cooperate with this sound clip. So here's one of the many awesome sound bites from Jason Kelsey's retirement speech earlier this week.
Of my upbringing, I think one of the best things a person can be in this world is a father. A father who is present, loving, devoted, just may be the greatest gift a child could ask for in our society. And I have a damn good one.
Well, he's a winner. No doubt about it.
He is for sure a winner. And I want to shout out some of our local high schools, again, who are playing in the Final Four state basketball championship this weekend. I know the Centralia girls play today at 4:00, and Marissa texted us and said we were forgetting about the Rockbridge girls who are playing this weekend in the tournament. I know the Tipton Lady Cardinals took third place this week, and the Salisbury boys also took third place this week, and we will have many more winners, I'm sure, to announce on Monday.
Absolutely. And by the way, we have mentioned all those schools there, so Rockbridge girls included. What's confusing is some of them aren't playing in the Final Four today. They'll be playing in quarterfinals and stuff. But yes, a ton of schools locally are involved.
And Hannah shared with me yesterday something that I thought was really good for International Women's Day. A cool story coming out of the sports world, Hannah.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't want to steal your thunder on that one. We're looking at women's hockey. Stephanie, I know that your family has kind of become a fan of hockey over the last year or so.
And the Mizzou Tigers played their first game in the national tournament last night and won, actually. So they're a winner of my week. But this is women's hockey.
Yeah, so it's the Professional Women's Hockey League. Their jerseys are getting a little bit of a facelift. There is a Canadian beer company called Molson.
Oh, Molson. Great beer.
Okay.
Great Canadian beer.
And Molson has launched this campaign to redesign the women's hockey jerseys. And they're moving the girls' names to the bottom of the jersey because girls who have long hair coming out of their helmet, their name gets covered up a lot by their ponytail.
Oh, I thought it was a takeoff on the pink. Don't you see a lot of pink across on butts?
No.
The butt part of the...
No, it's not on the butt. It's the bottom of their jersey.
It's right under the number.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought it was on their bottom.
And so their whole campaign marketing, there's two quotes. We covered our name so hers could be seen. And then they're calling themselves the proud hidden sponsor of the PWHL. I thought that was super cool because, I mean, how many girls have ponytails or braids coming out of their helmet and you can't even see their name?
They ought to do it in the NFL. more and more the guys have the long hair now hanging out of the back of their helmet.
But I just thought that was really cool.
That's great.
So you see pictures of the New Jerseys, and a lot of times you can't even see
That's
the
great.
Molson logo.
Yeah.
And they're saying we are totally fine with that.
But you do see the women's names.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
All right. Oh, good. You have any
Sort of
losers?
like firefighters with their names on the bottom of their bunker gear, so they're not covered up by their hair packs.
Yep.
That's true.
Brian Hauswirth.
I'll defer to John, and after my mind, Randy, I do have some breaking news too, but we'll get to John and then me.
John, who's your winner?
Pass.
Got a couple of winners. Both Jefferson City and Jefferson City Council unanimously approves to reopen the tree limb and yard waste drop-off site.
Oh, good.
April, a lot of folks were upset about that. And Unilever, one of Jefferson City's largest employers, says they will invest $80 million to expand the plant, put in a line to make the rehydration drink liquid IV.
That's right. That's great news. And that's on top of the $25 million they're doing for the warehouse, so $105 million overall.
I have 3 winners.
Okay.
First is Mike Atkinson from the Candy Factory, who was with us yesterday.
Fun yesterday.
Do you know why? He validated Randy's,
I knew.
the loser's statement that white chocolate is not chocolate. Thank you, Mike.
I believe the argument that we were making is that it was good.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. And Katie Britt is a winner. I think she really did one of the most remarkable rebuttal speeches I've heard. Some have said it was too dramatic. I thought it resonated with exactly the group that it needed to resonate with, and it was a positive, optimistic, not a cynical talk. I thought it was great. And Cindy O'Loughlin, the first state's woman of the year, who we attended that. Scott Fawn hosted that party for her the other night. It was fabulous, and it was really great. There was a lot of fun banter and a little roasting going on of various folks from the various speakers that were honoring her. So congrats and shout-outs to Cindy O'Loughlin.
What a compliment, too, to have John J. Rizzo say what he said about her.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you have the Democratic leader of the Senate say that about, and you're the Republican leader, now with some of our audience, they may not like it, but the bottom line is that's respect.
Yep.
That is the ultimate. Of course, he's old school like his father was, and so was she. They're both from the old school.
And my only loser in the family this week is whoever it is that's marketing that stuff that Stephanie bought to put on her lips. It's not Stephanie's fault. I mean, you saw it, and it seemed to work on TikTok or somewhere. But yeah, I think you said you're out of there. No more of that, right?
No, thank you.
Brian Hauswirth.
All right, I got 3 quick winners here. And for number 1, I'm going to nominate Stephanie Bell. She had a tweet this week that I absolutely loved. It basically said, Stephanie Bell, 6 a.m. versus 6 p.m.
that was a good one, yeah.
Absolutely. You are very photogenic. You do a great job, and we appreciate Stephanie on that. Number 2, I'm going to nominate Representative David Tyson Smith and also Cheri Toalson Reisch and Nick Danger for what they're doing for the hip hop. Nick Danger's, I've listened to his music, and it's very positive, and he's really trying to get the kids to do the right thing that are listening. So I encourage people to go. That'll be at 3 o'clock today if they can get to the Capitol. And last but not least, Columbia's Convention and Visitors Bureau and also University of Missouri, Dennis Gates was involved in this as well. The ability to get these championships, these basketball championships to Columbia, it is huge. And Hannah just mentioned some of the schools playing at Centralia. I mean, I've literally, folks, I don't know if they can see it. This is how long my sportscast is this morning, and try to squeeze that in 30 seconds because there's so many schools that are playing, but a lot of them never been. Some of these towns don't even have a McDonald's in them, and they're playing there. And I just remind the kids listening or their coaches, parents, there's a movie, you remember it, Randy, called it was called Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. Gene Hackman was the coach. He played a guy named Norman Dale. Try not to choke up because it was just one of the most amazing scenes I've ever seen. And the kids are intimidated walking in at Butler Fieldhouse, much like Mizzou Arena. And he has Ollie get up on a guy's shoulders, and they measure the basket. And the kids were wondering why he's doing it. He measured it and said, "You will find these same measurements at Hickory High School." What a scene. So those are my winners. And very quickly, guys, on a serious note, we have a breaking news story right now from CPD. Mm-hmm. They are actively looking for a homicide suspect who, by the way, happens to live in my apartment complex. His name is Justin Simpson of Columbia. They are looking for him for second-degree murder for the Plush Lounge homicide right now. Now, they're not saying a lot. We already have 5 people who have been shot in this incident. Melvin Hooker, the third, was killed. Several people have been arrested, but they're looking for him actively right now. 41-year-old Justin Simpson of Columbia, second-degree murder. If anyone has any information on where he is, you're urged to call the Columbia Crime Stoppers, 573-875-TIPS. That's the number to call.
And speaking of the police officers and the yeoman's duty that they are doing, short-staffed, Matt Nichols reached out on the text and said that the CPOA and the labor unions are very proud to endorse Lisa Meyer, who is our guest at 8:10.
Yeah.
If you didn't hear that, you'll want to catch the podcast. It'll be It'll be up later today. So do that. We also had someone was very thankful and they had a move and wanted to thank them. Oh, where is it here? I had it. Anyway, I missed it. But someone wanted to thank a moving company that really helped them get into their house. And we all know what it is.
This person says, I'm feeling good because I'm settled in.
There we go.
The ladies from the Clutter Solution made my move stress-free and easy.
And we all know what chaos it is when you're in the process of moving. It's not like, we're going to move, and 1 week our life is all settled, and 2 weeks later our life is resettled. No. It's a process, and all of the people that help along the way it's a big deal. So thanks for that.
Kudos to Matt Nichols and his staff at the CPD. They got this carjacking suspect. Again, 93. I mean, you want to talk about a rest of the media, guys, take a look at the court documents because I think that will tell the story. But to the CPD, tremendous work into that poor lady that almost got carjacked. Wow.
I'm thinking about this now. For everyone listening out there, this was at the Grindstone Walmart.
Yeah, middle of the day.
Right in the parking lot, middle of the day.
Friday afternoon, 2:30, February 2nd.
And apparently the woman may have had some kind of a vulnerability, maybe something going on.
She had surgery and was limping. He caught her. That caught her eye. He had her eye on her the whole time.
That's what predators do. They prey on the weak, right?
And she told him no. He said, "Move over, scoot over." No, that read the quote.
God love her.
That's just that. And I'm worried about how she's doing.
And as one of our texters said, very, very important to maybe think about your Second Amendment rights, because as the police are not going to be in every aisle of every parking lot, right? And so you may have to defend yourself.
And she did everything right and called in the Walmart security. I won't go into a lot of the details. I left some of it out for security reasons on the website, but the Walmart security has all this on video.
Great.
All of it.
Great.
They've got it. And then he himself showed up at CPD. The suspect didn't see I was the one.
What should happen to that guy altogether now? Throw him in the pokey and throw away the key.
He's going back to prison. He's going to go back to prison.
share it with you in the refrigerator. Let's open the door, see what's there. Stephanie, what's in your leftover plate?
I'm not going to yet put them on the list for winners of the week, but actually the Missouri Senate was functioning this week, and so we have given them a lot of grief.
Yeah.
But stuff was actually moving like it was supposed to, so they're working their way, I think, toward the winners list if they can keep it up. And I don't think like they should be judged on how many bills they pass, because I think the purpose of the Senate is to really tamp down on some of the crazier things. But I think, just functioning and actually debating the merits of bills is important. And they actually got to that this week. So that's
Bill Eigel was missing for a couple days.
well, that's fair. He is back. So
All right. What do you have, Mr. Marsh?
Well, the baddest man on the planet, Kid Dynamite, better known as Iron Mike. Iron Mike Tyson back in the ring this summer against that YouTuber guy, the Jake Paul from YouTube.
Oh,
The your turber? What'd you say?
It's your turber.
Okay, got it.
Iron Mike's 57 years old.
Is Jake going to wear some ear protectors
Yeah.
so Mike doesn't bite his ear off?
I'm going to eat your children. Yeah, Iron Mike back in the ring, 57 years old. It's an exhibition fight, they're calling it.
Speaking of sports celebrities, Charles Barkley has a little admonition for the Democrats and Joe Biden and why they're losing some of the black voters.
And I'm only speaking for myself. The reason I think the Democratic Party and Mr. Biden, President Biden, is losing black votes is they only care about black people every 4 years. They come into our neighborhoods and say, we're going to make stuff better. We're going to do this, do this, do this. And then finally, us black people are like, man, other than my ability to dunk a basketball, all my neighborhoods are still the same. Our schools are still the same. And that's why I think black people are leaving disappointed in the Democratic Party because...
Yeah, there you go. And he nailed it. I mean, promises, promises, promises. Talk about overpromise and underdeliver. Reminds me of Joe's State of the Union speech yesterday. I mean, they all tend to do that. But
yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Sir Charles can be all over the map, though. I know he came out just the other day and told black folks they shouldn't be wearing T-shirts with Donald Trump's picture on them.
Yeah, well, no, he's not a Trumper, but he's certainly, rebuking the Democrats for continuing to basically keep people dependent and keep them, in the stable when they're saying, wait a minute, that's not working out too well for me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are. We're all paying the same price at the pump. We're paying the same insane amount for bacon and eggs and at the grocery store, and all of us feel that.
All of our cities are now border cities, right? I mean, everyone. And I wonder when it's coming to a city near mid-Missouri. We talked about that city in Wisconsin, a very small, 15,000 people, and they've introduced 1,000 of these migrants. Suddenly they can't, it's making the city coffers, empty faster than they can fill them. And law and order going south because of a lot of these. Donald Trump's right. They're not sending us their best. Venezuelan crime is down. Wonder why? They're emptying the streets, emptying the prisons into the streets, and they're coming here.
It's a feel-good Friday, Randy.
Well, I feel good to talk about things that need to be talked about.
Here's something to feel good about. The FDA is expediting LSD to treat anxiety.
Yeah.
We got to get your opinion on that next week.
We need to get State Rep Tony Lovasco in to talk about it. He was the guy
what I think
behind
we
the
need to do?
psilocybin.
We don't need LSD to reduce anxiety.